Hi, I'm Manoli, lead 3D artist at TDC, and welcome to our Blender 5 hard surface modeling instructional video. Today we'll be looking at a hard surface prop that was modeled in-house using one of our hard surface workflows. The technique we're exploring today is very fast and gives clean results with a wide range of object shapes. This is suited to small hard surface objects like weapons or technical props, but can be used in combination with other hard surface workflows like sculpting or old faithful sub-div modeling. It's boolean based, combined with the power of bevel shader as well as procedural materials. This workflow will deliver models that are perfect for real-time projects, being lean in the poly department without compromising on detail. Of our few hard surface workflows, this is the only one that doesn't require huge amounts of polys in the high definition object that we'll bake details from. Let's first have a look at the high definition model. The first thing you may notice is that it doesn't look like it's that detailed, and that's because we're in solid view. This will help us see how the technique shines and what curves do need polys and where. The turn areas of these loops, for example, shown in red, are where curvature is needed to sell this technique. Care should be taken to make sure that the smoothing groups are set up correctly. The easiest way to do this is to set corner edges with the Mark Sharp feature, found in edit mode when right-clicking a selected edge. This is where the bevel node in the HD object material will add a soft edge. Here in edit mode, we can see this HD object's use of sharp marked edges controlling the object's smoothing groups. Be sure to set the object to shade smooth after adding Mark Sharp to edges. The bevel shader will only work in cycles until we bake it down to a normal map. When we switch to cycles viewport, rendering the bevel node's effects will become apparent. Let's have a look at the material driving the soft edges. Our HD model uses three materials, one for the grey metal sections and one for the orange painted sections. These both use a bevel node directly plugged into the material normal, each set with a radius of 0.003, which works well for objects of this size. The third material is a duplicate of the regular grey metal material, but with a smaller bevel radius. This is used on polys that require a finer edge curve, such as these details on the side of the model. A support loop wider than the regular bevel size was added here, so that the material could be applied to the polys without overlap. This is a useful strategy when looking to have different bevel sizes on one object. Once the high definition model is ready to be baked to a low definition model, it's time for retopology. Let's look at our low definition model. This prop in particular is for a real-time top-down project using Xbox 360 era constraints and poly budgets. Our retopologized model should maintain a detailed enough silhouette while staying under 4,000 tries. Using techniques to reduce edge loops, we were able to get our low-definition model down to around 3,700 tries. It's important to follow good 3D modeling practices when at this retopology stage, and creating the mesh that will be used in real-time projects. Quads only, with minimal tries, and 3-edge vertices are industry standard. N-gons should also be avoided. All vertices should have no more than 5 edges converging on them. This makes shading artifacts and can create problems with the bake. It's also good practice to keep neat edge loops where possible to make UV mapping easier. When the low definition mesh is finished, a weighted normal modifier should be added. Set the weight to 100, check keep sharp and face influence, and keep the threshold at 0.01. Apply the modifier. Once the low definition mesh is modeled in, it can be unwrapped. Let's look at our low poly UV layout. Divide the object up into UV islands by selecting the edges of the islands and marking them as seams. Once the islands are set, select all faces in edit mode and in the UV menu select Unwrap Angle Based. Adjust margins and spacing to suit, being sure to not overlap any UVs. Our UV islands are sized to be 3.5 pixels per centimeter with a 256 pixel map. Objects should always be baked from higher resolutions, however, so we'll be baking this at 2048 by 2048 pixels. Using a cage to bake details is ideal for this process and can be used as a visual guide. To make the cage, duplicate the low definition mesh, remove materials, and add a displacement modifier. Set the mid-level to 0. A suitable strength is relative to the size of the model. For our model, a strength of 0.001 was sufficient. Apply the displacement modifier. Any mesh that folds on itself should be relaxed, and no part of the low definition mesh should be outside of the cage mesh. Select all of the high definition objects, and lastly, the low definition model. Now click Bake via the Bake menu in Render Properties. Our model uses a base color, roughness, metal, and normal map, which will store the bevel shader details from the high definition model. Be sure to bake the normal, roughness, and metal maps to non-color images, and set HD materials to 0 metallic during the bake process. Once the materials are applied, this model is ready for real-time or rendered use. In our case, this will be used in the Godot engine. Even more detail could easily be added into the material procedurally or manually. Since this is for a top-down game, we kept it simple and easy to decode visually. We would love to hear if you're interested in more TDC workflow videos like this. Any suggestions for future videos would greatly be appreciated also. We hope you liked this instructional video. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe. Thanks.